All right, good evening, parents and families. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. My name is Leticia Preciado, and I'm the Parent Engagement Coordinator here in Pittsburgh Unified School District. Joining me this evening is Ms. Marika Hines from our First Five office here in Pittsburgh. Welcome, Marika.
Hello, everyone.
And this evening, we're in a webinar format, so we are unable to see you or hear you. But during the presentation, we're going to try to make it as interactive as we can. So we're going to ask you lots of questions, and please feel free to answer in the chat. And at the end of the session, if you have any questions, we'll also stay on a little extra to answer any of your questions. And you can also place your comments in the chat. We are recording this evening's session, so you can refer to it later. And at the end of tonight's webinar, we're going to have a short survey, and then with everyone that completes the short survey, we're going to do a short, a real quick opportunity drawing raffle with everyone that completes the survey. So let's go ahead and get started this evening. Again, welcome. So there are 4 known predictors for later reading success. The first is oral language. The second is alphabet awareness. The third is phonemic awareness. And this evening, we're going to be talking specifically about the fourth one, concepts about print and reading fluency. So concepts about print involves the understanding that print carries meaning and that books contain letters and words. So when you're reading a book with your child, they know you're not reading the illustration, they know you're actually reading the words and that those words carry meaning to them. And then reading fluency is the ability to read with speed, with accuracy, and proper expression. And that takes time. And so that's why it's really important that we establish a love of reading early on and reading every day with our children so that they can get as much practice as possible. All right, before we continue, we're going to watch a short video. So let me stop sharing for a moment so I can get the video up and running. Give me 1 second. All right, let's see. And let me know if you can hear it okay.
All right, where's the R?
2.5-year-old Mira couldn't be getting a better start for life as a reader.
Next to the I.
She can already name most of the letters of the alphabet.
Right. And then finally A, where's the A?
When it's time to become a reader, she'll have less to learn because of the head start her parents are giving her.
Mira.
Yeah, good job. Give me 5. Good job.
Look, Mira, melons. M for melons and N for Mira. Look, we have melons in our list.
Mira's mother does what reading researchers recommend. She finds opportunities to point out print and how it's used.
Look, Mira, C for cucumbers.
Mira is learning that signs are different from shopping lists,
Sweetie, peppers. Let's get some peppers.
which are different from stories. Mira is also discovering that all of these kinds of writing are made up of words, which in turn are made up of letters.
C for cauliflower. M for mushrooms.
When Mira starts learning to read, she'll already know a lot about print,
Mushrooms in our list. Which mushroom
much
do you
more
want?
than
You
she
want the brown
knows
one
about
or the white one?
self-control.
Want some of this?
Mira is getting such a rich exposure to books in print, it's clear she can't wait to read on her own. In fact, like many children, Mira pretends to read.
Make a with rocks.
Her play reading reveals that she already knows how books work. This knowledge comes from watching her parents read to her, and that's something they do every day. Every evening after dinner, Mira's parents switch off the phone and television for reading time. It's Mira's favorite part of the day.
Eat a good breakfast. And don't forget to wash the dishes, dear.
More is going on here than meets the eye. From her mother's moving finger, Mira learns that the print tells her mother what to say. She doesn't just make up a story based on the pictures.
You're bad.
The details that Mira and her 2-month-old brother VJ are picking up are certainly important. But the most vital lesson this evening may be the simplest. Reading is a pleasure.
Why is he going? I think it's for the brother, Mommy.
His mommy and daddy want him to go and get his little brother.
The single most important thing that a parent can do to help a child learn to read is to transmit a love of reading to their children. Let them see you reading as a parent. Let them see that you enjoy and love print. And I say this to parents, even if you are not a reader yourself, you can still communicate to your children that books matter.
VJ can't yet follow the twists and turns of the plot, but he is paying attention to his mother's voice,
Try to stay out of trouble.
tuning his brain to the elementary speech sounds that make up English. He's already laying the foundations for becoming a reader.
And we'll be home soon.
Tenait en son bec un fromage. Maître Renard, par l'odeur alléchée, lui tint à peu près ce langage.
静夜思，李白。床前明月光，疑是地上霜。举头望明月。
The human voice can produce at least 150 different speech sounds or phonemes. English uses only 40 or so of these sounds.
All right, give me 1 second to reshare my screen. All right. So you saw in the video how the parents point to the text, not just when reading a book, but also as they're out shopping at the grocery store. You saw the mom was pointing to the signs for C for cucumber, P for peppers. And so her daughter is able to see that mom is reading the print that's on the signs. And she's able to see that as she's reading and moving her finger to what she reads, that's where she's reading. And so that's giving her the knowledge that those words carry meaning, and that's where the mom is reading. So there's lots of different things we can do when we're reading a book. We can point out the front of the book, the back of the book, the spine of the book, so kids know how a book is structured, and then the author and the illustrator, and then define what each of those does. Oh, the author is the person that writes the words to that story. The illustrator is the person that draws all the illustrations, all the drawings from the book. And then you can use your index finger to run across the title of the book and let them know the title. And as you're reading, you can track with your finger as you read. So your child can see, oh, that's exactly where my parent is reading. And so that they know that you're moving from left to right as you read, and that those words carry meaning. Another activity that you can do when reading a book with your child is to simply take one sentence and then, hey, let's see how many words are in that sentence. And so you count how many words, and then, oh, and then point out the punctuation at the end. Oh, there's a period. That means that's the end of the sentence. And so you can also have children point out the text in the book to make sure that they know where the text is compared to an illustration. You can ask them to point to the first word in the book on that page and the last word in that sentence. And then you can also point out the space between words so that they know each space between a word is there intentionally, because that's the end of the word and then comes a new word. And then you can also start to point out the punctuation at the end of a sentence, so that they'll know that you stress how you say that sentence differently if it ends in a question mark or if it ends in an exclamation point, for example. All right, so this is just one easy activity that you can do at home. You can make these small little books at home with construction paper and just blank paper. and then just have them handy. And so this is a great way for your child to practice not just being an illustrator of their own story, but also the author of their own story. And so you can adapt this to the age of your child. So if your child is not yet writing letters or words, he or she can still illustrate their story, and then you can write their words. You can say, tell me about what's going on this page, and then they could tell you, and then you can write their words on the bottom of that page so that they know you heard their words and that you're actually writing them there. So in that way, they can still be both the author and the illustrator. And if your child can already recognize the letters of the alphabet and letter sounds and can start to write out some words phonetically by listening to the sounds, then they can also start to write the words that go with their illustration. And this gives kids a really good sense of pride as well. Like say their grandparents come over, they could say, hey, look at the book that I made. I'm the author, I'm the illustrator. Let me read my book to you. And then they can start to read the book that they made to their family member. And so that's a simple activity. Just by creating these blank books and having these handy, you can encourage writing, and you can encourage your child to compose his or her own stories. And then of course, print is all around us. And so just like you saw in the video when they were at the grocery store, the mom was pointing out the letters and the signs. Oh, look, C for cucumber, P for peppers. So she was pointing that out as they were shopping for the various things on their list. And then you saw she also had a written list when they were at the grocery store, and she was like, oh, here's a melon. Here are the melons. And then she pointed to the M for melons on the list and said, M for melons, M for Mia, I think it was her name, or Mira. And so you can point out the things that are in print around you, whether you're going to the store or you're going to a restaurant or you're going grocery shopping, or just simply going from one place to another, and you can point out the different street signs. And if your child is not familiar with that word, you can try to sound it out by breaking the word apart and into what each letter sound makes, and then putting those sounds together. All right. So reading fluency is the ability to read text with speed, with accuracy, and proper expression. And fluency develops gradually over time and through lots and lots of practice. So at the earliest stage of reading development, students, oral reading tends to be slow and kind of labored because they're learning to kind of break the code or attach sounds to letters and to blend those letter sounds into recognizable words. And that takes practice. And even when students are able to recognize many words automatically, their oral reading still might be without expression or not as fluent because again, it takes practice. And so to read with expression, readers must be able to divide the text into meaningful chunks. And so they must know to pause appropriately within and at the end of sentences and when to change their emphasis and their tone. For example, a reader who lacks fluency may read probably in a kind of more monotone tone. For example, like, let's say Brown Bear. That's a book many families might be familiar with, and they might just read it just simply like Brown Bear without expression, and maybe without pausing, without looking at the punctuation. So again, reading fluency takes time and lots of practice. So again, that's why it's so important to read every single day with our kids and for them to see, not only hear you reading, but then eventually as they get older to start to practice reading themselves as well. All right, so there are 3 different components of fluency. The first one is accuracy, and that's the child's ability to read words in a text automatically. And then the second one is the rate, and that's the speed at which the child is able to read. And then the last one is intonation, and that's where they can stress and pause as you read. I like to think of it as reading with feeling, right? Or expression. And again, all of this takes time and practice. And so again, really establishing a love of reading early on is critical for their long-term success. All right, so fluent readers can recognize words automatically and focus on reading comprehension instead of having to concentrate on decoding. Or decoding, remember, is where you're looking at the word, you're kind of breaking apart what does each letter sound, each letter make, what sound does it make, and then blending those sounds together to recognize and say the word. And so when a child is still working on decoding, he or she can't fully put all of their emphasis on comprehension. That's why sometimes you see if a child is not reading at grade level yet, at grade level or higher than grade level, sometimes they could fall behind on the reading comprehension because they're still really working on the decoding piece. Once they have the decoding piece down and they're able to read fluently, automatically, then they can fully focus on comprehension, what it is they're reading. I like to think of it as like a water faucet. When you turn on the water faucet, the water flows naturally, really runs through naturally. If there's some kind of clog in the pipe, the water might kind of come out little by little, and so it's not as fluid. So kind of think of it in that way. Once your child is reading at his or her grade level, it's automatic. It's just fluid how they're reading. All right, and now Marika's gonna take a moment to read the book with you. And today's book is Hair Love. And so let me stop sharing my screen. Give me 1 second.
Hello, everyone. So tonight we're going to read the book Hair Love. And we see this is the front cover of the book. We see this is the spine. So books have spines just like us. And then we've got the back cover of the book. So Hair Love is by Matthew A. Cherry. He's the author, which means that he wrote the words for the book. And it's illustrated by Vashti Harrison. Does anyone know what illustrated means? And feel free to put your answers in the chat. And that means that you made the person who did the drawing. That's right. Okay, so let's get into it. My name is Zuri, and I have hair that has a mind of its own. It kinks, coils, and curls every which way. Daddy tells me it is beautiful. That makes me proud. I love that my hair lets me be me. In funky braids with beads, I am a princess. And when my hair is in two puffs, I am above the clouds like a superhero. My hair even does magic tricks. One day, Rocky and I were playing outside when along came the rain. From large to small it went, presto, just like that. There is nothing my hair can't do. Can you see her hair going from large to small? Today, I woke up extra early all by myself. I was too excited to sleep. It's a big day. Daddy was still sleeping. Shh, I said to Rocky as we tiptoed past him. Lately, Daddy has been worn out. We see Rocky, the cat. He makes me breakfast, takes me to school, goes to work, picks me up, and yesterday we went for a bike ride around the park. I think he needs a break. Because today is special. I want a perfect hairstyle. This calls for a professional's touch. Paws off, Rocky. Crack! Daddy, heard the crash. Zuri, what on earth? He asked. I was only trying to help, I said. Daddy smiled. Can I help too? It'll be a piece of cake, Zuzu. The first style was a big no way. The second was no better. No, Daddy. Then Daddy tried slicking my hair back into 2 puffs. Ouch, Daddy yelled. Wait a minute, Daddy said as he reached into the drawer and pulled out a pick. Ta-da! Daddy, really? I said. I'll be right back, he promised. Now, how's that? He asked, pulling a hat down over my eyes. Daddy, come on, we can do better than that. I really need my hair to be special. Don't worry, he said. We'll figure this out. Then I had a great idea. Daddy gathered all the tools we needed and we were set. Watching carefully, Daddy combed, parted, oiled, and twisted. He nailed it. Funky puff buns, pretty, pretty, and so much fun. Rocky approved too. I put on my superhero cape as the final touch to the perfect look. Where's my Zuzu? Mommy called from the door. She could not get in the house fast enough. Mommy! "You've got to be the prettiest Supergirl I have ever seen," she said. "And your hair is beautiful, Zuri. Who did it?" I looked at Daddy and beamed. Mommy smiled. "Very nice. Thank you. We learned from the best," Daddy said as he gave her a big hug. My hair is Mommy, Daddy, and me. It's hair love. The end.
Thank you, Marika. So each week we've been practicing how to do open-ended questions as we're reading. You saw how when Marika was reading the book this week, she was intentionally pointing out where she was reading with her finger as she was going across, and that helps our young children to see that that's exactly where she's reading, as she's reading right there from left to right, and that on each page. And so that's a simple technique you could do when you're reading the book with your child. Each week we've been practicing using open-ended questions to build our children's vocabulary and their critical thinking, and to really look intentionally at what's going on in the text of the book and in the illustrations of the book. Especially for books for young children, oftentimes you can get additional information simply by looking at the illustrations. And so you can get some information from the actual text and some information from the illustrations. And so as you're reading, you can ask open-ended questions. Remember, open-ended questions are when you ask a question of your child that he or she's going to answer more than likely with more than one or two words. And they have to actually listen to what you're asking, think about it, and then come up with a response. So they have to practice critical thinking. And so we're just going to pick a couple of pages from the book and then practice doing one or two open-ended questions.
Okay. Well, my first question to you guys is, what was your favorite part of the book? And feel free to put it in the chat and I'll read the responses. What was your favorite part of the book? Her hairstyle? Yeah, thanks. Trying different styles. And we saw a lot of different styles, right, in the book? Any other answers? What is your favorite part of the book? When the dad did her hairstyle? Yeah. And that was happening a couple times throughout the book, right? Okay. We do another question. Zuri and her cat Rocky and their friendship. That's right. We saw the cat Rocky. And how do we know that Zuri and Rocky are friends? How do we know that they're friends? That's a great answer. How do we know that Zuri and her cat Rocky are friends? Because they sleep in the same bed, they do everything together. How they are together in the book, they're sitting down, laying down together. Exactly. Can someone tell me what happened at the end of the book? What happened at the end of the book? The mom arrived back home. Yes. Mom was back. The superheroes back home. They took a picture. Okay. And now let's count one of the sentences. Let's do this one. Then I had a great idea. So how many words is that? Then I had a great idea. Does anyone have any guesses about how many words that is? Then I had a great idea. 6. Okay, that's right. 6 words, exactly. Thank you, guys. Good guesses. Okay, and so of course, in terms of one of the strongest ways to continue to improve reading fluency is repeated reading. So just like anything that needs practice, the point is to continue to do it and to do it as much as you can. That's really important for building reading fluency. And of course, you can always use sight words because that helps to build reading fluency. So each grade, of course, has a list of sight words, and those are words that the student should know by the end of the school year. You can practice, regularly with the sight words to help them get more comfortable with seeing them. So then on your left, you just have just some sample sight words, and it's important to point these words out. When you come across them with your child, you can point them out in text of the storybook. You can point them out when you see them, in your environment. So that's another different way to kind of continue to build fluency by acknowledging the sight words.
I just want to add, if you did register for the workshops ahead of time and received your packet, there should be 2 different grade levels of sight words in your packet. And then the link that you see on the screen actually has all of the sight words for each grade level from kindergarten through 5th grade. So if your child is advanced and you want to continue to have them learning, you can go to the next grade, or you can continue to work on the sight words from his or her grade level as well.
And these are just a bunch of different games and activities that you can do with sight words. So you can do like a sight word bingo, where you take your sight words and call them out, just like you're doing with bingo. And then that allows your child to be able to identify them. You can do a memory game with sight words, so where they have to show that they've, memorized the sight word. You can do sight word detective. And so what that may look like is, you give your child the sight word, and let's say you go through the page of the book and you have them look for that sight word to see if it's present. You can do a sight word scavenger hunt, meaning you can put the word somewhere and, have them look for it. You can do sight word hopscotch, like that illustration shows, where you actually write the sight words on the hopscotch format. And of course, you can have your child, as they're playing hopscotch, identify that sight word, say that sight word. So all those things continue to build the fluency. You can you can infuse it into like card games. Like you can do sight word go fish. You can do a sight word beanbag tossed. So there's a lot of ways to really incorporate sight words into different activities. And if you've been with us, you know about the multiple intelligences. So you can always find games that really work with kind of your child's natural interests and abilities. So this is just another example of some great sight word activities and games. There's sight word fly swat, where you say the sight word, you have either the word on the wall, or these illustration shows the letters. And then you have your child, you say the word, and then you have your child spot it and splat, hit it with the fly swatter once they've, heard and recognized and identified the word. So this is a fun game because, it allows your child to be a little bit physical. You're getting to use kind of those fine motor skills, and you're really working on identifying those sight words and working on your fluency. This is also a fun game because it can be, fairly inexpensive. These are things we can find at the $1.25 store now, and post it. So it doesn't take much to kind of play these type of games. So this is another sight word activity. You can do sight word spray. So especially, with summer coming up, warm weather, for your little ones who like to be outdoors more, you can have them, it's similar to the fly swatter game where you say the word and the child has to spot the word and spray it with the water bottle. So in this picture, you can see they've done it with chalk. So again, another activity that doesn't take much to put together. You literally could do this with just some sidewalk chalk and a spray bottle, or this other example where, you can use cups, but of course you would just write the word and have your child spray the cup once they identify the word. You can also do sight word tic-tac-toe. So it's like a traditional game of tic-tac-toe, but they must read the sight word correctly before they can place an X and O on a board game. And again, some of these games are very, accessible. This can be done, on a chalkboard. This can be done with sidewalk chalk. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about our center, our East County First 5 Center in Pittsburgh. So just major things to know about our center is that we are essentially a family resource center. We focus on families with kids age 0 to 5. We are completely of no cost, and we are free, of course, to all families in Contra Costa County. Some of the major elements of our program is that we really have child and parent classes. So the children's classes are really developmentally appropriate. They're separated by age. Some classes may work on, early learning and literacy. For the younger kids, for the older kids, it may be something that's more school readiness focused. We have classes about a variety of topics and subjects that are of interest to kids. We also have parenting classes. So those classes, of course, are geared towards the parents. We have some that are more kind of support group based, where it's just a chance for parents to come together, share with each other, have time together, and we facilitate those classes. But we also have evidence-based classes. So like what's referenced here, the Positive Parenting Program is another evidence-based class that we also host at our center. We do support groups. So like I said, that's in some of our parent classes where, we touch on a variety of different subjects. Like, for example, we have a class called Mama con Mama in Spanish, that's a support group. I have a class called Sisters in Parenting on Mondays from 4 to 5. We also do Ages and Stages Questionnaire. So that is a developmental screening. So what that is just a questionnaire that kind of checks in with your child regarding where they are in their development. So we can, it's similar to what you get, if not the same, as you would get in a doctor's office, but we can administer that questionnaire to families and support you if you have any concerns about your child's development. And another major part of our center is we do connection to resources. So for example, at our Pittsburgh site, I'm a community resource specialist, and we have another specialist, Gianna Baldaza, who's our bilingual specialist. And it's our job really to connect families to resources. So if there's anything you need, from car seat safety checks, is my child in the right seat? Are they turned the right way? Is this appropriate? Is my seat safe? We can do things like that. If you need to know about any resources within the community, I need to know about food or job resources, we can connect you to the resources that we're aware of in the community. If it's something we don't know, we can also research it and provide you with that information. And just as you can see, we have just the information for our First 5 office. Janet Rivera, who unfortunately is not here tonight, is our director, and I am our community resource specialist. My last announcement is that we have been virtual and in person, but for small class sizes during the pandemic. But as of May 1st, we got the order to be able to do capacity. So we still have virtual classes for May, June, but for our in-person classes, we will no longer be limited to just 6 kids. So we'll be able to go back to what we had before the pandemic, which was around 12 to 15 in a class. So if you are interested, please take our number, info, and yeah, I'd love to continue to see you guys.
All right, so I'm gonna, in just a second, I'm gonna put a short link into the chat. And we invite you to take a quick survey, and then we'll wait a few minutes while you complete the survey, and then we'll do a quick opportunity drawing with everyone that completes the survey. So give me 1 second while I load that.